Let me be very clear from the start. We told you this was coming. We told you that Donald Trump's dark past would surface. We told you that he could run, but he could not hide. And now, what has emerged from the latest Epstein document release raises serious, disturbing, and unavoidable questions. Because what happened over the last 24 hours was not transparency. It was manipulation, and it looks an awful lot like a cover-up. Let me walk you through exactly what went down. Earlier in the day, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna stated publicly that he had been informed the Department of Justice would be releasing another batch of Epstein files later that afternoon. People waited, journalists waited, the public waited, and nothing happened. No release, no announcement, no explanation. But here's where things take a turn. Using prior DOJ search formats and document constructs, an independent search uncovered something alarming. Dataset 8 of the Epstein files was accessible online, even though it had not yet been officially posted on the DOJ website. That alone should stop you in your tracks. Tens of thousands of documents were sitting there, unannounced, unacknowledged, and quietly available. Those documents were immediately downloaded and reviewed page by page, and what they contained raised major red flags. Because some of the most disturbing documents were later moved, re-indexed, and renumbered once the DOJ officially posted Dataset 8 that night. Same documents, different numbers, different locations. Why would document numbers, Bates numbers, be shifted within hours? Why manipulate indexing on a dataset that is supposed to be a transparent historical record? And more importantly, what else might they be trying to hide? Let me give you one example. Within Dataset 8 is a letter allegedly sent from Jeffrey Epstein to convicted serial sex offender Larry Nassar, the former Olympic team doctor who assaulted hundreds, potentially thousands of young girls. The letter is postmarked just days after Epstein's death, and the contents are horrifying. It references shared love and caring for young ladies, invokes the President of the United States in grotesque language, and includes statements that are deeply disturbing on their face. Now, let me be absolutely clear. This letter was sent for FBI handwriting analysis. Multiple forensic documents confirm that. But to this day, there has been no public conclusion released confirming whether Epstein authored it. So we are left with an obvious question. Why has the result of that analysis never been disclosed? Why would such a document exist, be analyzed, and then effectively disappear into silence? And that's not the only document that should alarm you. Another internal DOJ email, this one from federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, details Epstein's flight records. These are not media reports. These are internal prosecutorial communications. And according to those prosecutors, Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet far more times than previously known, including during the exact period prosecutors expected to charge Ghislaine Maxwell. 8 flights between 1993 and 1996, at least 4 flights with Maxwell present, 1 flight where Trump and Epstein were the only 2 passengers, another where the only other passenger was a 20-year-old individual whose name is redacted, redactions that are typically associated with victims. Other flights included women who were potential witnesses in the Maxwell case. This wasn't speculation. This wasn't rumor. This was written by a federal prosecutor warning colleagues so none of this would be a surprise down the road. And yet, this information was never meaningfully disclosed to the public. So, let's step back and ask the obvious question. If this is what appears in tens of thousands of documents that were briefly hidden, quietly posted, then reorganized, what's still missing? And the answer is simple.
The most important documents of all have still not been released. The FBI interview memoranda, the witness statements, the survivor testimony. Because those files don't just document events, they name names. They identified powerful men, Wall Street tycoons, politicians, individuals who visited Epstein's properties and islands. And here's the most disturbing part. The Department of Justice has released the names of survivors, something they are not legally allowed to do, while refusing to release the FBI interviews that contain the names of perpetrators. Ask yourself why. Why protect abusers while exposing victims? Congressman Ro Khanna has been unequivocal on this point. The law explicitly requires the release of internal DOJ communications, work product, and draft charging decisions. The statute explicitly forbids withholding documents due to embarrassment or reputational harm. There is no legal ambiguity here. And yet, the DOJ continues to stonewall. That's why bipartisan initiatives are now underway, including inherent contempt proceedings that could impose daily fines and even arrest authority for non-compliance. And make no mistake, this pressure is working. Unredacted documents have already begun to appear only after the threat of enforcement became real, because they know something else too. On this issue and this issue alone, the public is united. Across party lines, across ideology, people understand that protecting abusers while exposing victims is morally indefensible. And survivors are prepared to testify again, reliving their trauma a third time, because they refuse to be erased. So let me end with this. What we are seeing is not a failure of transparency. It is resistance to accountability. And the more documents they hide, shift, renumber, and delay, the clearer it becomes that the truth they fear is already written down. The question is no longer whether these files exist. The question is how long they think they can keep them buried. Because sunlight is coming, and this time there's nowhere left to hide.